Girl, stop playing.
Yeah.
Girl Stop Playing podcast. It's your favorite homegirl, Coriel, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. You already know that I believe you can make the money and you can get the honey. You can have it all as long as you are willing to work. And today I get to introduce y'all to another working woman. But before we get into today's show, I gotta make sure y'all remember that you gotta like this episode, comment below and let us know how much you enjoyed the conversation, and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of the amazing guests that are going to be gracing the podcast. This episode is brought to you by Pull Your Card, my brand new party game that is adding a little razzle dazzle to your next girl night, game night, vacation, family reunion, however you like to get it in. Pull Your Card is the perfect addition to the party. You can grab your deck at pullyourcard.com. Today, you get to meet Miss. She missed y'all. I'm sorry, Tanya. Miss Tanya Rapley.
You just tore me all up.
They're going to edit this, y'all. Let me say that again. Today, y'all get to meet my girl, Tanya Rapley. She is the founder of My Fab Finance, which provides content and a community around money for millennials, and Maternal, which is a resource that provides financial, educational, and emotional support during pregnancy. Welcome to the show, Tanya.
It's about time that I'm here.
Listen, I know we had to work it out, but we did it. You are in the building, and I've been looking forward to this conversation.
I have a feeling we're about to get into some stuff.
We're going to get into it. Listen, we're going to get into it. We're going to keep it light, but we are going to get into it. So I want to talk first about your evolution as a CEO, because you've done a lot of things since I've known you, from My Fab Finance to, the multiple businesses that you have purchased, the businesses that you have started. And I want to just talk about how your passions have changed as you've pursued different entrepreneurial endeavors.
Yeah, like serial entrepreneur.
For real,
and I
for
feel
real.
like most entrepreneurs are serial entrepreneurs at heart. Because there were businesses before My Fab Finance that didn't work.
That we don't know about.
It was just like, okay, this isn't making sense. This doesn't work. And what's funny is I feel like now it's coming full circle because I'm kind of returning to where I started. So I went to school for public administration, public policy. And in college.
What does that mean exactly?
So for me, it meant less math. But for me, it also meant that, like, working with governments, I worked on city plans. So I went to college in Miami. So I worked on city plans for quite a few of the municipalities in Miami, Florida, created community like focus groups and charrettes and everything like that. A lot of research around affordable housing then. This was right before the crisis of 2008. And so it's funny because I'm kind of moving back into that now after I've been in My Fab Finance. But there's so many things. I think most people know me from My Fab Finance, but I also I tried my hand at being a CFO for a little while. That wasn't my thing.
Not your thing.
For a startup, and we just really looked at our minimum viable product and was like, this ain't gonna catch like we hope it would. And so we decided to move away from that. But then also I started a company, Can Inclusive, which is what co-founded Can Inclusive, which is seeking to drive diversity and inclusion in the cannabis space. And that is still operating. I stepped back because it was starting to mess with my finance clients. Like they were like, it's still Schedule 1.
A little weary.
Oh yeah, they're like, it's still Schedule 1. You can't be a spokesperson out here running around selling cannabis.
I can't believe this is still life.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But hey, look, that's the benefit of having two co-founders. Because I was like, listen, we're not about to mess the money up.
Right.
This is still a startup. This is not bringing enough money to cover all of our bills. But the beautiful thing about that is they've really been holding down the fort, Mary and Charlize and the team behind them. And we're the only Black women in New York City with our cultivation license. Well,
nice.
New York State.
Got you.
Can Inclusive. And so, like, that's the beauty of like
What's
starting
a cultivation license?
You can grow.
You out here growing.
You can legally grow and sell cannabis in New York. And so it's part of like a larger license, but that's the beauty of having multiple interests and kind of fielding them and starting things. Like, you know what?
And you don't have to be the face of everything.
No, I don't want to be the face of like.
That's hard. It is hard.
I'm burnt.
Listen.
Like I just posted that on Instagram last night. Someone else was saying like she's burnt out. I've been a full-time content creator for 8 years.
That is like,
well, January will make 8 years, 7 years so far. Your girl is
tired.
Every time you turn around, the algorithm's changing and all these other things. I was like, you know what, Instagram,
get out of here. I just did Instagram Live like earlier today. I read an article yesterday. I think it was on Forbes, but the whole article was about the fact that Black women are leaving social media. Yeah. And it's like, we are tired. We are tired with a T.
Tired.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And when you look at like the gifts and everything, a lot of them are based around like Black women, Black characters and everything else. I feel like we're low-key
moving this thing.
We're moving it.
Yes.
We're definitely
but we
moving
ain't monetizing it like we should.
Yes. You remember Clubhouse was around and like that's what everybody says. Like all of us are driving Clubhouse's platform. We need our own platform. And people try to put one together. Didn't work, but Clubhouse kind of just came and went.
Fizzled. So. It's a little fizzled out a little bit.
Yeah.
I start with my fat finance, just a little bit,
my baby.
Because I don't know if we're in a recession, getting into one. I don't know what the current status is, okay? But that is a scare for a lot of people who don't have diverse income streams and who aren't necessarily in control and driving, their own destiny, which we're going to talk about designing your destiny as well. But what is your advice for like what people should be doing right now in preparation of or in survival of a recession?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think even if you have multiple revenue streams, it's still something like, what's going on? What happens if a few of these dry up? Because we all become accustomed to a certain quality of life and a standard. So, I mean, even me, when I was thinking about my pivot, I was like, okay, how is this going to affect the companies that I depend on, and how should I move accordingly based on that? Are we in a recession? They keep pushing back what recession means, but we know we have inflation.
Some stuff is going on.
What we do know is things are expensive, and our quality of life is, a lot of us have become accustomed to a certain quality of life, and that quality of life is costing us more. So irregardless of if we enter a recession or not, you still need to be preparing for whatever. Like the best thing to do is prepare for the worst, but the worst doesn't occur, and you're still prepared. Yes, because now you're like, ooh, now I get to breathe easier than if it actually would have occurred. And I think it's important to note that there are going to be people who go through personal recessions, and there are going to be people who aren't impacted by this recession. And it all is dependent on planning. Like, while you can get ahead of it, get ahead of it. They've been talking about this thing since January of 2022. If it happens in March of 2023, you can't say they have not been talking about this. Yeah. I just feel like at this point, I can't really have an interview without somebody asking that question.
Because people, what do we do? Taya, what do we do?
I know we don't want to go into the Great Depression. Right. Like, we don't, Lord knows, like, we don't want things to get that hard. And I don't think they will, because we're just a completely different society. Like, it's like very digital, remote work is possible. I just think that it's very different now, but you can still experience a personal recession.
Yes. So do you, in terms of like investments, and I know, there's obviously not a one size fits all thing, but I know you're into real estate. We've talked, offline about getting into trading and all of the things. What would be your best advice, even though we know everybody's situation is different, but what is something that you feel confident in that people could at least start exploring or looking into in terms of like investment opportunities?
Investment opportunities, that's interesting, because like you said, it's based on everybody else's. I think that when we think about investing, it's like making money, right? Like, I think investing in yourself, honestly, and like honestly, the truth is investing in yourself, because investing in yourself will give you more capital to invest in other things without the fear and concern or the need for it to pay off. Like, there's a reason they have accredited investing as a standard for people to make larger investments, because they're like, if you lose it all, we don't want you to
blame us. Don't be looking over here.
We don't want you to lose it if you lose it all. Right. Like, so we need to make sure you can afford to lose money. And I think the same thing is like investing in yourself, investing in your skill sets, investing in your knowledge, and whatever that looks like, so that you can bring in more money. That's the most important investment to be making right now.
Facts.
And then utilizing that extra money to invest in other things. Invest in, maybe you say, okay, let me buy land, land, like, and understand what game you're playing, because like buying land is not like a quick turnaround. You're not going to buy it today.
That is a long-term plan.
There are certain instances where you can flip it, but for the most part, it's a long-term thing. And even real estate, I bought my first investment property in December, called myself taking December off to learn how to trade. bought an investment property first week of December. Trading went out the window.
Right.
Just now getting that those apartments rented out. Decided to go the short-term rental route with them. But it's like it's not necessarily a quick turnaround. The quickest turnaround is going to be you.
Right.
Like, that's the quickest turnaround.
Yep.
And then use that money to
do other things.
Yeah.
To diversify. So you talk a lot about designing your life, and you have been very unapologetic in doing things your way, pivoting as necessary. Like, I'm going to live the life that makes me happy, the life that is fulfilling for me. So what is your definition of designing your life? How does that truly look?
Designing my life looks like living in the way I was designed and aligned with my divine assignment. So that's what designing my life means. It's like understanding who I was designed to be and being true to that. And then also honoring the divine assignment, what I feel like I was put here to do. I feel like I was put here to be a teacher, and not a school teacher, because they ain't making enough money for me.
Listen.
I did work in nonprofit, but I'm so happy I had a friend that freed me. She said, Tanya, you can do well and get paid well for doing it.
Yes.
Like, I saw someone had a clip recently about like service and importance of service. It's like, yes, but you don't got to struggle through your service.
Right.
Like, you can serve and get paid well. And so I think that I was put here to live a good life, and help others do the same and inspire others to do the same, but also honoring who I am and knowing who I am. Like, life design also means that the way you live your life now might not make sense 5 years, 10 years down the line, because you're a different person. Hell, 3 years down the line, because you're a different person. You've gone through different things. Like, last year I was married. This year I'm divorced. My life design looks completely...
Girl, stop answering questions before I ask
my bad. Spoiler alert.
We're gonna get to that.
But yeah, like, life design it's also flexible. And one of the things I have written down in my little shower pad, because I get all my good ideas in the shower.
Come on, shower
pad.
So
I have like this little pad you can write notes on in the shower. And it's like, life design doesn't mean having the perfect life. It doesn't. It means having a life where you can flow through the challenges that may arise and enjoy as many portions of this life as possible. It's not always going to be perfect.
So you mentioned the life that I was designed for. Like, how do you come to that realization of what you were designed for? Like, what you specifically were designed to do?
Yeah, as you said, I'll be doing what I want, right? And so it is a lot of trial and error. It's relocation. I mean, when I graduated from college, there was a point where I lived in like 5 cities in 2 years, just like picking up.
I hate moving. Oh my God.
I mean, I ain't had nothing then, so it was like, well, we taking a bag, we packing the suitcase up. Like, I was so disrespectful. Like, we gonna leave that furniture my mom and dad gave me in here.
Yeah.
Like, now that I know how much furniture costs, girl.
It's a thing.
But it was like relocating, changing my environment to see like what spoke to me most. I feel like I found myself the most in New York City, because New York really provides space for you to explore all your layers without judgment. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. There's certain things that I did in New York City that
you could never do it.
They'd be like,
girl,
is she like one of them Neptunes girls? Like, it's like, it was just alternative. It was weird with Charlotte. I would say also exploration. And so I was raised Christian. I studied Buddhism. I converted to Islam in my mid-20s.
Really?
Yep.
Did you unconvert?
I mean,
whatever.
Okay. I don't know what that. I don't know if you denounced or whatever. I stopped praying 5 times a day.
Gotcha.
I was like, y'all, I'm not coming to this mosque no more.
For the cause. What was that pivot like? Like, did you have like a realization and it's like, no, this is not for me anymore?
I did.
Interesting.
It was me asking questions, and I was asking questions, and stuff just wasn't making sense.
Math wasn't mathing.
It wasn't. I was like,
yeah.
I don't. Now, this might work for some people, and that's where I've come to the realization is that I feel like God finds people the best way that He can enter their lives. And so for some people, Islam makes sense. For some people, Judaism makes sense. For some people, Christianity makes sense. So for some people, being agnostics makes sense. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, that's cool for y'all.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen what this is about. Me and God, like, thank you. I talk to God 5 times a day for the past year and a half. We good. Me and God like this. And I feel like I learned a lot about myself in that process, and learned a lot about myself from walking away from that process, because I think that there's a lot of fear involved with shifting your religion or going against what's been instilled in you. And I really had to trust my intuition, trust God, and trust myself. And so I think I learned a lot about myself in that process. And just being curious, therapy. Like,
come on, therapy.
Therapy, I remember when I had my son, I had a lot of anxiety. That I was like, girl, you're not even an anxious person.
We don't even, listen, we talk about postpartum depression, but we don't ever mention postpartum anxiety.
Girl, everything got a label on it. A choke hazard, you know, a SIDS warning.
And it's like, this is your responsibility. If something happens, it is on you.
Like, this is your person.
Yes.
And you love them. Yes. Like, you know, my son, I was just like, I remember my mom telling me that when she had me, she's like, I never felt love like that. And like, it's true. Becoming a parent, you're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, I love you beyond.
Yeah.
And so I had all these roles that I was playing. I was CEO, I was mom, I was wife. And my therapist was like, you've never renegotiated your relationships in these role changes. And you haven't given yourself time to deal with these different roles. You're just rolling with the punches instead of being like, okay, who am I in this space? Yeah. So therapy was really helpful in that regard too.
Listen, okay, so let's talk about maternal, because becoming a mother, you know, I feel like people be judging me when I say this, but I can only be honest, okay? What I thought, like, my first introduction to postpartum depression was like an episode of ER. It was like a woman had come in, she had tried to harm her baby, and in my mind, that's what postpartum depression meant. Right. It's like, you don't like your baby, you don't love your baby. That's what it meant to me.
Let it cry in a room.
And listen, don't cancel me, don't kill me in the comments. That's truly what I thought it meant. But then you become a mother, and I'm a part of all of these Facebook groups because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out. So I'm getting a part of these communities to try to get with other people. And the things that they were going through and talking about, I could not necessarily identify with. But then I had my baby. And I still don't necessarily feel like I never wanted to harm my child. I never wanted to harm myself. But I feel like there was definitely like a loss of like my old life. You know, like a depression around losing who I was and the freedom. I mean, especially as entrepreneurs, the freedom that we are blessed with is like irreplaceable. So losing that, and then it's like, yo, this baby he's still here. You know, like you wake up and he's still here.
Or they wake you up. It's
it's like, damn, I'm a mom again. You know, like again.
I can't even sleep how I want to.
I still can't sleep how I want to, okay? Still can't sleep how I want to. But that to me is a conversation that we don't have. You don't know these things until you're in it. You can't really prepare for it. And like I just said, the anxiety thing, you know, like making sure he's still breathing, that's a whole thing that it's like never goes away. I don't think it's right. No, I don't think it's ever going to go away. And so I'm assuming that part of that was like some of your motivation behind creating, you know, the movement, but tell me, like, what was your motivation behind it?
Maternal was a lot about my life design. And even then I was designing my life, and I didn't really know that I was doing it back then, but I worked in nonprofit before becoming a full-time entrepreneur in the finance space. And so we talked a lot about maternal mortality. Like, this was before it was a buzzword. This is like 2010, 2011. We're talking about maternal mortality. So I was terrified. I was like, yo, women are really dying.
Having
babies in like
America.
Post 2000s.
And Georgia's like number one on the list.
Yeah. And so I had anxiety about that. And so when I got pregnant, I had an OBGYN, I had a midwife, and I also had a birthing class instructor. So I took the Bradley birthing method, and then I had my midwife who I was paying for out of pocket, and then OBGYN who my insurance was paying. Yeah. And I realized, and I had an amazing like pregnancy, I had an amazing delivery. It was just beautiful. And I realized that I had a privileged birthing experience because I had the financial resources to do so. And I didn't want women not to have a beautiful and therapeutic birthing experience because
they couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Right. So that's why maternal was created.
Gotcha.
But then also we support pregnancy and beyond. So it's not just like pregnancy.
Baby, it's a beyond.
It's really the postpartum.
Yes.
Like it really is the like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to wash my hair and eat in between trying to get
sleep? Can I shower?
Because they tell you sleep while the baby sleeps, but it's like, what do
I'm worried about the baby staying alive while he's sleeping. I need to watch him.
And like, because now I got to catch up. Yeah. Like now I got to like wash my ass while the baby is sleeping.
And then he might wake up in the middle of that. So it's a thing.
So I want women to have that support because I think a lot of that also drives postpartum depression.
For sure.
Like I remember, and I had all these resources. My midwife was amazing. After I had my son, I had a hospital birth, but she came to the house like every day to check on me and like made sure I ate and everything else. And my like Karis's father was also amazing. I was like, look, we got to eat. And so he found a chef and was having meal prep, like meals delivered. We ate so good in them postpartum days. But that really helped. I still remember sitting down in my room, like trying to find something to wear. And I was like, damn, I can't wear none of this. Cause my titties is leaking. I can't wear this. I can't wear this. I gotta be able to like easy access and like breastfeed him and everything. And it hit, and I was like, wow, life is different. Like, girl, you can't even leave the house without putting your little nipple pad in because otherwise you're gonna have a little ring like right there on your shirt.
You're gonna be embarrassed
because the letdown done happened. And it was that, and then I wanted to get my nails done. I was like, I don't even have time to go get a manicure and a pedicure. And I mean, that could sound privileged or whatever, but like that's
real life. Yeah.
And it was like,
and I'm not taking my baby to the nail shop. That's the one place he is not going.
I'm not taking a newborn. Like I mean, I'm not judging anybody that has.
Yeah, no shade.
No, you gotta do what you gotta do. But Kara still ain't stepped foot in the nail shop.
No.
Like, we're going to do it while he's at school. But also, I'm an entrepreneur. That comes down to life design.
Right.
And understanding,
we have the freedom to make those choices.
Space for myself.
Yeah.
Outside of being a parent. And for me, being an entrepreneur allows me to have that space for myself. And allows me to afford to hire people to give me that space for myself. So, yeah, that's maternal. We also cover... if someone wants to become a doula or a birth worker, we will cover their training so that they can serve more Black women. We paid for laundry, we paid for housekeepers.
I love it.
Babysitters, diapers. Like, what do you need to experience motherhood on your own terms right now?
There's so many things again that you like don't know about until it's like at this point you're pregnant. There's no turning back. Like, the baby is coming. You have to figure these things out. It's too late for you to say, okay, wait a minute, I'm not ready for that. Like, you have to it's like on the job training. You got to figure it out. God. And to your point, I feel like I had a very privileged pregnancy. My birth experience was not, I've never even talked about it, y'all. And I still got PTSD. I still can't really talk about it. I ain't gonna lie to you. But what I had prepared, because I'm preparing for everything.
Yes, you're a prepper.
Listen, I'm doing all of the things. Like, you
had your overnight, you had your night nurse.
Listen,
like, well, I was like, when the baby coming?
I had my night nurse. I had all of it. I paid for the doula. I paid out of pocket. My husband works for Kaiser. Like, when I say my baby would have cost like $500, like nothing. We paid out of pocket for a home birth, for a midwife, for the doula, for all of the things. And then nothing that I prepared for worked out the way that I anticipated. But thank God I had, the luxury of being able to, try to plan my process the best that I could. But there are so many women who can't advocate for themselves. No. They show up at the hospital clueless, get taken advantage of, get mistreated, get borderline abused, in these hospitals, and they're scared. And it's a scary thing. Like, there's so many reasons to actually be scared. And so, I commend you for it, because it ain't, I don't know, there's not a lot of money in, creating resources for... Oh,
it's a labor of love.
Right.
Ain't no money over there.
Right. This is a passion project.
Ain't no money over there.
Because you realize, like, it's needed. It's necessary. And, I just had my midwife on an episode where we talked about, like, how home birthing is like shunned. It's like looked down upon.
Oh my gosh.
That's the whole thing.
I remember when I told my mom that I had hired a midwife, my mom was like, so you gonna have my grandbaby in the house like some? I was like,
girl, a heathen, like some savage.
First of all, like, he might be safer in the house than the hospital, and I might be safer there too.
Yeah,
I was like, but I'm gonna do my research, but it is shunned. Now, granted, I am not a home birther.
I was not either. Not by choice, but
people think because like I eat gluten free and everything else that I'm like the home birth. No, keep that in the hospital. Like, keep that trauma. I don't care how good your birthing experience is. There's some trauma associated with them. When them contractions come through and you just remember like your body's just getting assaulted. And you just like, when is it over? Like, I didn't want that in my house. I don't want to clean. It's messy.
I believe wholeheartedly, that God has a plan. And, my son had to go to the NICU for 2 days. And so hindsight, being 2020, all I can think about is what if something went wrong at my house? Like, what if he needed extra care and I'm at the house because I'm so stubborn because I just, have to do things my way. So it really came down to me being a mother and thinking about my child and knowing that it doesn't matter what you want, you have to do what's best. And so that's even a tough thing, that if you don't have a community, if you don't have support, if people are judging you and your choices, that's tough, because you really truly are just trying to do your best.
You're trying to survive.
You're just trying to survive. Because if you look at statistics, like, that shit is scary. It is definitely scary if you start looking into Black women specifically and our birthing experience.
And that's why I say, like, when I was pregnant, though, I was like, don't talk to me about your traumatic birthing experience.
Please,
like,
keep that to yourself.
Okay, girl. Oop, I don't want to hear that. Like, girl, you gonna die twice. Okay, so we're not fielding those stories right now. I only want to hear about good, positive outcomes. Like, tell me how the baby just slid out.
Yes.
Like, you didn't even know you was in labor.
Yeah,
girl, I didn't even know. I didn't know I was pregnant, and I just had a baby.
I just showed up at a hospital and the baby was there. First of all, I'm so jealous of those women who are like, I had the baby on the way to the hospital. He just came so fat. Please.
Me too, Coriel.
Listen, please. I'm still very prayerful.
Maybe the second one.
God.
I was so.
Oh my God, I thought I was your girl.
At labor, at hour 20, I was like, oh.
Listen.
This ain't there late. Okay.
I had like a 46-hour traumatizing me and my husband. I'm like, when I tell you, me and my husband, we like thick as thick. Like, he has seen me. You know, like, if someone who experiences birth with you, it's like, it ain't, you could literally, I could do anything in front of you. Like, I can
listen.
I have no shame.
And that's how I feel in general now. Like, after you've been in the room with your, like, everything in the air open. Everything. Like, girl.
Whatever. It ain't even, who cares? You gonna see what you gonna see.
You gonna see what you gonna see.
Okay, so we weren't even supposed to get into that conversation, because I do got a couple more business questions. So I'm just gonna ask you.
That's how motherhood takes over your life.
You know, these babies run everything. But you posted something, and I want to go back to this because I felt like it was like such a profound thing. I think it was part of your birthday lessons, like the things that you've learned that was so good. One of them was, every good idea isn't yours to execute. And I felt like, is she talking to me? Because the moment I get a good idea, I'll be like, ooh, I need to do it, and I need to do it today. Yeah. Like, right now. How did you learn that lesson the hard way? Like, how did you come to that conclusion and like help? Because that's such a thing.
Yeah, I learned it from a few ways. I learned it from burning myself out, because I just had this tendency, right? You free up, you get overwhelmed, you take things off your plate to free up yourself.
And then you add
only to be like, you know what? I got capacity to do this thing. I had this idea and it's brilliant. Like, we got the space to do it. Like, let's do it. I am continuously editing, like, myself. Remember, 2 weeks ago, I created a journal. And it's like, and I was like, girl, who doing this launch? And who doing this rollout? You know? Every idea is not like your idea to execute. And it could be an amazing idea. And I have to tell that to some of my friends who, like, I came up with this like 5 years ago, and now look, somebody's executing. That might be their idea to execute. You're doing great at what you're doing. Clearly, like, that wasn't the thing that was going to be your next thing. That wasn't going to be your amazing thing. And it's just like, you can have great ideas. Like, yes. But you have to ask yourself, do I have capacity? Does my team have the bandwidth? Do I even want to sustain this? What is this doing for me that I need done in my life? Like, what really is it? What is this doing? And now I check on myself, like, is this ego? Is this like an ego play?
Do I think I just got to do it all?
Do we got to do it for like acclaim? Like, what we doing this for? Like, does it add to the quality of your life? Does it add to the mission? Or is this an ego play? And so I think that it's important to ask ourselves that. I bought a company 2018. I bought a e-commerce company because I was like, yeah, you know, I want to scale so and so and so. That e-commerce company, like,
it almost took you out. It's a thing.
I didn't like the inventory management and the customer service.
Was it drop ship?
No. We held inventory and we were the one we distributed.
Oh shit!
And so it was just like,
I just knew you was drop shipping.
No.
Okay.
And I was like, and it got to the point where I didn't even want to check that inbox.
I know,
because it was like, what do you want me to do if the USPS didn't deliver? I gave it to them.
Girl,
what do you want me
I had to fire myself from customer service because it's like I was borderline cursing people out without using curse words.
Like, call the police
That is
officer.
stressful.
But it just goes back to say, like, that did not change the trajectory of my life. That company,
right?
That company, I closed it like nothing. Literally, it's like experience had. But
you learned some lessons and then
it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary. And so I think that it's important to understand, like, when you get ideas, go back to what your core values are and go back to what your personal mission statement is. And does this thing align with those, or is it an ego play? Is it a money grab? Or is it something that, like, it's a great idea, but it just ain't mine?
Yeah.
And that's okay. Give it to somebody else. Like, girl, I was thinking about doing this, but I don't have the capacity. You got more time on your hands. I know you're trying to leave your job. This might be a good here. I did the research. Everything was ready to roll it out.
Take it and
here you go. Don't even give me a percentage. Like, that's a blessing to you.
No, I want my percentage. But you know what? I feel like part of my, this is going to sound really bad, but I feel like part of my challenges have been having money to do things. I feel like when I didn't have no money, I was much more like strategic, and I took my time because I had no choice. I had no money. But when you just got money to do stuff, you can make bad decisions because you have money.
Or access to credit.
Yes. And it's like, you don't need to do that.
Like, that's one of the reasons why, I know how to build business credit, but I'm not, like, I'm very mindful of who I teach how to build business credit, because if you don't know how to edit your ideas.
Will you teach me?
What, how to build business credit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I like to ask people stuff on camera. So I'm like, girl, let me play this back. You said
no,
it is.
It's I built business credit for
it's not hard. It's just the
businesses.
The process. You got to do this account. You got to 3 of these accounts. You got to wait 6 months. But there's a way, like there's a shortcut. Okay, we'll talk offline.
You can sign up for.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, we'll get you situated.
Okay.
You don't have business credit?
I got a little bit.
I'm like, Corey, I don't know what your ideas, girl.
I got a little bit. I'm not gonna go crazy. Okay. You can trust me.
Because that's the thing, is like, people are getting like these large lines of business credit
to
fund these ideas they're not ready to follow through on, but that bill is still due.
Yes.
Like, you still have to pay that. I mean, I know some people say, like, just go bankrupt and close it.
Hell no. You don't have to worry about me doing that. I won't do that.
So that's another thing. It's just like, when you have the money,
you blow it.
Listen, bought a whole business because the money was there.
Yeah.
Developed the product line for the business, everything. Developed a body care line, and now it's going to my Airbnb. Like,
well, you pivoted. You can still.
I pivoted. We were filling up the body wash containers. Like, we're going to take this body wash, and they're going to use Club Blue for body wash in this Airbnb, and they can buy it if they want to.
Yes.
Off my personal store.
So you're going to make it make sense.
Yeah.
So how do you know when it's time to pivot? Because I think that is such a tough position for a lot of people to be, especially when you're passionate about something. We could be passionate about some stuff that is like totally not for us, totally not profitable, totally stressing us out, and we don't want to let it go because we've built this thing, or we're known for this thing, or people expect this thing from us. When do you know that it's time to pivot?
For me, it's a personal feeling. It's like, ooh, like, I love it, but I'm exhausted by it. I'm not enjoying this the way I once did. And it's the systems are set up for me to pivot. So let me be honest. Like, I didn't step away from my Fab Finance until I can afford a social media manager, till I had an assistant, till I had a customer service person. Who's doing an amazing
job, by the way, because that thing is still
going
strong. Yes.
It really is. So I didn't pivot until and I knew I didn't want to abandon it. So I didn't pivot until there were people there to operate it, and we had solid systems in place, and like everybody is a smooth running machines where I didn't even have to check in. Because now it's to the point where I barely have to check in. I'd be like, oh, we sent a newsletter out this morning. Oh, good job.
Isn't that a great feeling? Like somebody's doing some shit without me.
Like, I'll see a post up and like, Kristen, that post you did today, like, girl, I'm detached from the day-to-day functions of the business. My job now is to go out and get money, so I knew that that's when I was ready to pivot, when I was feeling like I needed to pivot. I started my Fab Finance in 2013. Almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
It's only so many budgets I'm willing to talk about. Like, there are other people, and they are career financial educators. That is not in alignment with my core values. I like variety. I like doing different things. I like learning different things. And so I realized, okay, now it's time to move to the next thing. You've proven to yourself that you can build something and stick with it. Let's go build the next thing. And
it's done, like, it's repaid you. It's done. So, I mean, it
changed my life.
You do TV frequently, because I be trying to be the Latoya. She be like, no, I'm taping TV shows. And it be all the time. She always taping TV shows, doing the things. So that just goes to show, like, the investment. You're getting a return on your investment.
It changed my life. It did. And one of the things that also let me know there's time to pivot, I didn't care to do things that kept us relevant. or that will keep us relevant. Y'all can do that, but Tanya's not making 3 videos for TikTok.
Yes.
I'm not.
Yes.
Like, these Instagram reels, matter of fact, y'all gonna get less reels from me because I'm tired of Instagram. So I also had to realize if I'm not willing to do what's necessary to remain competitive in that space, this might be a signal to you that it's time for you to do something that you're excited about being competitive in.
Yeah.
And so, and then God, like really honestly asking God and like talking, like following your intuition. When you feel away, like, let me sit down and get still and listen to what, and talk to your trusted advisors. I was at ClickFunnels. And I remember I was kind of like...
First of all, that was amazing. Was that your first time?
No, that was my second time. It was a great conference.
Amazing. It was.
He knows how to do a conference.
He does.
I'm going back next year.
Me too.
Don't even know if I'm doing digital marketing.
I already paid my money.
It was a great conference, I remember last year I was on a mission, right? So I was on my mission to have my first $1 million year, like in a single year.
Did that.
So like, did it. And did. So I was on a mission. So like I went there in a very different space than coming back and being like, I feel like I'm in a transition and I feel weird. I feel out of place because I'm not here and I'm not mission oriented here. I'm just flowing. And that felt very weird for me because I'm so used to being focused on one thing to the point where I was in the room, I was like, girl, you depressed? Like, what is happening right now? Go down and talk to people. And I'm glad that I did because a lot of my colleagues were there and I pulled up like one of my friends. There. We sat in the room. We laid out a whole new plan and I trust him. And that's the other thing about pivoting is like having people around that you can talk to, like, I think I've done what I want to do in this and I want to do something else. Like, I don't need your permission, but I trust you. What are your thoughts? And when they be like, girl, you don't roll this out.
Yes.
You don't roll it out. Like, nobody gonna say you gave up too early.
Yes, you've done it. You have done it. You've done the thing.
Literally, I ain't gonna toot my own horn, but
toot it, girl.
Your girl done did stuff. Like in personal finance, yes. I've done more than I thought that I would in that space. Like self-published my own Amazon bestseller. Like been in every major publication, like Forbes, Vogue, Essence, Ebony, like Women's Day. To the point where people call me in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. People call me, I'll be like, no, I don't have time.
You have the power to say no.
It's been beautiful, and My Fat Finance really changed my life and showed me my power. And sometimes you need things to show you how powerful you are.
Girl, throw me this alley-oop because my next question is around the Save Yourself book, right? So Tanya and I, speaking of showing you your power, Tanya and I collaborated on a book. It's called Nobody's Coming to Save You. Okay, it's a guide for you to save yourself. And when I tell you, I had like a vision for what I wanted the book to do, but as I'm reading through the chapters, I'm like, this book is actually going to save someone. Oh. It's actually going to give someone the power and the courage and the confidence to identify. There's so many different stories, from domestic abuse to like the corporate woman that had it all, thought she had it all and was like, no, this still ain't it, to homeless, like so many powerful stories of how women like picked themselves up and decided that, they're not waiting on somebody to come save them. So what would you say is your biggest hope that people will get from your chapter specifically?
I would say that it's okay to reinvent yourself if that means saving yourself. Like if you have to step away from everything that you've known or everything that everybody knows you for in order to save yourself and maintain your sanity, it's okay to do that. They'll understand later.
Yes, they'll see it.
They don't got to know and understand why you're doing it. And I know I did say, like, asking my trusted people about transitioning and the pivot and everything. But there's a difference between pivoting and saving yourself. And you gotta do what you're being told in that moment.
Yes.
And that book, I was reading through the chapter. You know how you like, you write something and you step away and like you removed and move on to other things. And I was like, dang,
that's good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I'm going to put the link in the show description. I'm a YouTuber now, so I got to get used to saying that. I'll put the link in the show description below. But get a copy because it's thebomb.com. Okay, so we got to talk about dating after divorce.
Yeah.
Because Tanya out here in these streets, y'all. Tanya is out here in these streets doing the damn thing. But I want to talk about it, not just because I want to get all up in your business, even though we do like to get all up in people's business over here. Oh, girl, stop playing. But I think that the way that you are unapologetic about, you're not stepping into dating in a depressive state. You're not stepping into, not even dating, but stepping into this new season in you're confident. You are looking forward to it. You're excited about it. So what has your experience been, and what advice can you offer to someone who's not necessarily getting, out of a divorce or leaving a relationship, but just advice for a single woman who's might be looking for something? Like what is your experience, and what lesson can you share?
I do think that my experience is different than a single woman.
Okay.
Because like for me, especially returning to the dating scene, like I've been married, I had a baby, like y'all, I'm not dating for marriage at this point. Mm-hmm. Like
that is different. You're right.
There is a certain level of or a certain lack of commitment that I'm in, like am in that state.
And a confidence that you have when you're not looking for someone to complete you.
Right. I don't want to have another baby.
Yeah. Are you opposed to having another baby?
I just don't see how it would happen. I'm not opposed to it, but I also feel like I was with Karis's father for 12 years total, and like we ain't work out. And I'm like, I don't have 12 years to get to know somebody else.
Okay.
Man, I don't honestly have like 2 or 3 years to get to know somebody else. I just don't see it happening. The way I look at it is like, his father will have a child to give Karis a sibling, or like I would date somebody.
Brother. Okay, gotcha.
Like, so, but I will say, like, for me, I know I worked really hard in my marriage. I know that I was a great wife. I know what I brought to the table. Even now, my ex-husband will text me and be like, man, it's been so hard, like, doing life without you. Like, I really took it for granted. Like, bro, I know. I told you that.
Good luck.
I told you before. Yeah. I told you that life is going to be different without me. And for me, it's just like that confidence in knowing what kind of woman I am. But also the freedom to not be obligated to somebody, and like to move in a space where it's like, no, I don't got to check in if I don't want to. Like if I want to go straight to sleep, I can go straight to sleep. Now I am dating someone. Someone.
Okay, I'm sorry. She is not in these streets.
I'm not anymore.
I apologize.
Not anymore.
Okay.
I remember talking with my homeboys, and I was like, dang, somebody done found me. He was like, women like you don't stay in the market for long. They gonna snatch you up.
Yeah.
Like they
don't take long.
And I'm dating somebody who I really enjoy. Like I really enjoy. When I first met him, I was like, I feel like we're gonna have fun together, because I do think that when you get into those final stages of your marriage, like before it's ending, very rarely. And when it comes to divorce, are people like, man, we were having the time of our lives for our divorce. Right. Like, no, you don't really like each other like that. Like things are tense. You like, do I want to invite them? Do I want to spend like be around them like that when you get to a divorce point? And I miss enjoying being around somebody. Yeah. Like I miss enjoying being around male energy, and just like, this is just fun and refreshing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was really looking forward to when when we was like, okay, we're not going to do this. But there was still a grieving process. There was still even now, I think that now we're selling our marital home. There's grief associated with that. Like that was the first home that I purchased. We purchased it together. Like we moved to Georgia in that house. Like that, I was sitting in the backyard literally yesterday, because now the home is under contract and they had their inspection.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was bittersweet. Mm-hmm. It was like, this is another chapter closing. And like I was that kid who cried watching Five Goes West. So for me, it's like I'm emotional about this chapter closing, and it brought up, even though I went through therapy and worked through my grief, and like the first months after the divorce, like I would take Karis to my parents' house, and like he would be with his grandparents for like a week at a time. So like mommy, if she needed to wake up and cry to get it out, and like shower and like sit there on the edge of the bed and cry, I had the space to do that. And so I thought I got it all out. But things bring it back up. Like, oh, we're closing this chapter. Mm-hmm. Or like
it really is over.
Even orientation. I remember taking my son to orientation for school, and like seeing all these families and everything. And I was like, dang, like I'm a single mom up in this joint. And like, they're like, is his dad coming? I don't know where bro at. Like he said he was on his way. We don't live together. I don't know. And so it is like, there's moments that bring things up where I do have like, oh man, grief is pulling up, but my joy outweighs that. Mm-hmm. And like I work through it, move through it. What are we feeling right now, Tanya? Okay, that's understandable. Mm-hmm. Like, girl, that's understandable. And like, name how you feel. Okay, you feel like this. You feel like this. You feel like this. You feel like because I remember when we first got divorced, I felt like a failure. And I was like, my marriage failed. Like, I'm telling people to own their power, and da-da-da. And then I looked at it, I was like, no, Tanya, you owned your power, because you chose to walk away from that marriage, and you decided, like, it didn't serve you anymore, and it wasn't honoring you. So it didn't fail. You wanted honoring yourself. And I just had to really sit through and walk through it.
Did you ever feel like, I don't know if shame is the right word.
Absolutely.
Okay, that was the right word.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And my mom and dad are still married. My parents have been married for 42 years.
I feel like social media just adds another layer.
It does.
Because it's like, you've done first of all, people are nosy as hell. Second of all, you show them all the good. So then it's like, well, how much do I want to tell you about? Every time I see someone that has like a subliminal message about like leaving their husband, I'm like, damn. It's another notch for, the people who are
can women have it all? Yeah. And you can. It just takes the right partner. It really does. And I felt like I was upset at myself for choosing the wrong partner. Like, dang. They chose the right partner. Why you choose the wrong partner? And I was upset about that. But I also realized, like, you showed up for him. He had to show up for you. You gave him, like, and I'm not saying that he didn't, because he showed up in a lot of ways. And he was, like, Kara's father was a great, like, husband in a lot of regards. There's just things that fundamentally we disagree on, and, like, ways he copes with things that I'm like, I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah.
But, yes, there was definitely, like, even seeing, like, there was a point where I'd be like, unfollow. I don't want to say they happy asses. Unfollow. I'm not even gonna lie.
That's good for your mental health. That is self-care.
It's like, you know what? Maybe we'll follow them back because they real cute. But
I don't want to see this right now.
No. Or it would be, like certain things I wouldn't listen to, or certain things I wouldn't watch everything, because I felt like I'm not ready to address that. And it's funny that you mentioned people be watching, because like we and Karis's father separated in January. He moved out Valentine's Day. And I didn't publicly announce, and I was cool with it. Like, listen, I was like, if I can get through this week, because it was Valentine's Day, our anniversary, and his birthday all in the same week. And I was like, if I can get through this week, girl, you will be okay.
Do anything.
If you can get through this week where like all these major moments for you guys are coming, you'll be okay. And I didn't publicly announce until June, though. Like, I wanted to walk through my process. Right. I wanted to walk through my grief. I wanted to walk through like my transition, the transition for Karis. What does our new normal look like before I explain it to anybody that wasn't closely related to me? So when I announced it, it was funny because people was like, I felt a shift, and I was wondering when you were going to say something, or I noticed you weren't wearing your ring. But I do want to say thank you all for being respectful, because nobody at any point reached out and was like, girl, you ain't wearing your ring. What's up? Like, nobody at any point asked me that. I think people were like, something going on. She on a birthday trip. She traveled for 14 days, and that man ain't with her.
Be reading between the lines.
It's cool. Read.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about it when I want to talk about it. Like, I'll talk about it when I want to.
All right. You ready to play a game?
I love games. I kind of love games.
People don't be doing that good, but we're not gonna do trivia. We're not gonna do trivia. Don't worry. I don't know.
I might. Let's do one trivia question.
You want to do one trivia question?
One.
Okay.
I might do good.
Okay, so we're gonna. Okay. I'm gonna let you.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you pick too. So we're gonna play inside of Pull Your Card. You have.
These are pretty.
Thank you. There's 5 different games, a mashup of my favorite party games, from Taboo to Heads Up to Never Ever Have I Ever, but we're not gonna get that spicy. Okay, so cute. Pick.
Your brand person did that thing.
Thanks, girl. Pick one trivia card, and then we're gonna play this or that.
Okay.
Let's see what we got. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Last person didn't get this one right.
Oh Lord.
But you might get it right. All right. Where is Bruno Mars's condo?
Is this from a song or like in life?
I don't know. You tell me.
New York.
All right, I'll give you a point. For that.
Is it Brooklyn?
It's Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
I got a condo in Manhattan. Baby girl, what's happening?
Baby girl, what's happening?
Yeah. Okay, she got it, y'all. She is good. She is good.
Drop it.
Yeah, see? Okay. All right. You did that.
Okay.
So these are not as hard. It's literally just your opinion. Okay. So this one is called This or That. I'm going to name 2 options. You just pick one.
Okay.
Insecure or Power?
Insecure.
Without a doubt. You said that like,
girl, I feel like my life at varying points is an episode of Insecure.
Yeah.
Yes, I had people moving to my rental property underneath my nose.
Closest
Insecure
thing to a real Black woman's experience that I've ever seen. Shout out to Issa Rae. I can't wait to have you on the show.
She did her thing.
Okay, Fresh Prince or Martin?
Ooh. Martin.
I knew you were gonna say Martin. Nobody ever says Fresh Prince. Looks or money? Cause you got your own money, girl.
I know. I have to like to look at you. You can make money. Like, I don't,
Looks.
I'm gonna say looks.
Okay.
Like, I know how to make money.
Okay, we got that on lock. Okay, so this is a perfect question for Miss My Fat Finance herself. Would you choose an 800 credit score or 50K cash?
50K cash.
Easy?
Absolutely, 50K cash.
Really? Why?
Because I know how to make it work for me.
Okay.
I know that the 800 credit score will allow me to get other things, but so will a 720. Like, there's not much difference in what you can get approved for between like $750 and $800.
Really?
But I know that $50K, I can do some things with that.
So aspiring to get a $750 is good enough. This $800.
It depends on the person. Okay. For me, as a financial educator, like I'm at $750, $760, I'm good. Like, I don't have. Well, and one of my fellow financial educators, you know, she has a perfect credit score, and she just an article came out, and I was like, good for her.
That seems so stressful because it's like one thing, and that thing ain't perfect no more.
For me, it's like when I'm looking at a goal, I look at how does this affect my life? Like, and for me, it's like $50K will affect my life more than having a perfect credit score will, because there's certain things I can do with that.
Well, for the people who want more financial advice or just want to follow you and get a little bit more into your business, look right here in this camera and let the people know how they can stay connected with you, where they can find you online and all that good stuff.
So I hope you enjoyed this episode.
They did.
Yes. So don't go to my website because we're doing some things over there, but you can find me at tanya.rapley on Instagram. As I mentioned, I'm in a personal transition, and so you get to witness this transition. Yes. Outside of being a financial educator and a CEO and a mom, I'm also an art collector and investor. I'm sharing more about that journey and the spaces that I'm pivoting into. So if you're looking for inspiration, make sure that you follow Tanya.Rapley, because I'm very honest and transparent on there. I answer a lot of questions that people have, and we just have a good time on my platform.
We do have a good time, and I hope y'all had a good time on this episode of Girl Stop Playing. Thank you so much for tuning in. Share this show with a friend. Love y'all, and I'll see you next week. Peace. Girl, hey, I hope you enjoyed that video. This channel is all about encouraging you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you'll be notified when the next video drops. And comment below and let me know what you want to see on the next video. Peace out.